Hello and welcome to an unusual evening drawing session, for me at least. I don't usually draw in the evening. I usually do all my stuff very, very early in the morning before anybody else is awake. And the reason I'm out here tonight is because my cat ran out. We have an indoor cat. It's supposed to be an indoor cat, but he doesn't think he's an indoor cat. But we try to keep him inside. And normally I would be going to bed about now, but I'm gonna see if I can't get him to come in here. This is my workspace. It's a garage, actually, but we call it the depot. And the reason why we call it the depot is because it kind of resembles a little old-fashioned train depot. The person who lived here before us built this garage, I think, and he was a railroad buff, and so he built this garage to make it look like a depot that you might find in a model railroad. And it's got a loading platform on the side and a sliding door on the side, in addition to the regular sort of garage door. And from what I'm told, it's never been used as a garage. It's never had a car inside it. And I use it as my workspace. So I'm in the depot, and it's on the other end of our back garden from the house. And sometimes I can get our cat to wander in here and just, he's curious. He likes to look around. And if I can get him to wander in here, there's a chance that I can close the door and trap him in here and grab him and take him back in the house. Because otherwise, there's no sense chasing him, because he's just too fast. So that's why I'm out here. And since I'm out here past my bedtime, it's not very late, actually. It's only about 7:30, but I try to go to bed at 7 because I said I get up very early. I get up at 3. That's the only way I can get a few hours of work in. I'm too tired when I come home at night to do anything usually, but this is an exception. So I'm gonna stay up for a little while and see if I can get our double cat to walk in here while I'm drawing. The trick is to act like you're not paying any attention to him. You're not interested in him. And he might come in. So I'm working on the light pad. Just trying to decide what I should draw, and I've got all these, I've got plenty of stuff that I could be doing, and a few things that I probably should be doing. But sometimes I like to just pull something out that I never finished, an unfinished piece of a page or some art, and just work on that. And I've been working on reviving an old idea for a comic that I had done, or that I had never done it, really. I started it several times and never got very far into it. And then I had to abandon it when I began drawing Lucy, because I couldn't waste my time doing something else. And so I've been giving it another shot now that I've finished up Rhiannon. And we're just going through the edits for that now. And so I'm kind of in between edit rounds right now, waiting for the next round of edits to come through from our editor. And so I've decided to dig out one of the pages from one of the previous attempts at this book. And some of them are all right. Some of them I kind of like, and I'd like to reuse, but usually I can't use them as is. The characters may look a little different now, and sometimes I take out an old page and I like part of what I did there, and I want to use that scene again. And so I do what I'm doing now. I lightbox some of it that I want to keep, and then I'll make some adjustments. And this scene here is kind of a risque scene. So it's I call it the Doris Sloane sequence. So all the chapters in this, well, hopefully it'll amount to a graphic novel eventually. Each of what would normally be chapters is kind of like a short little comic in its own, and each one has like a banner headline, and some of them, at least early on, are the names of the characters as they're being introduced. They get their own little sequence, and so this is the Doris Sloane sequence, in which the character of Doris Sloane is introduced. And who is Doris Sloane? Well, Doris Sloane is, in the story, she's the head of a studio called Sloane Studios that was originally started by her husband, Jack Sloane, who was a cartoonist and started a studio, kind of like Will Eisner, to produce stories that would get published by the comic book publishers of the time. And this Jack Sloane character is also a little based on Bob Kane as well. And anyway, I don't want to get into all of the story, but Jack Sloane disappears at some point, and this has happened now years ago. And from that point on, Doris takes over running the studio. And we learn in this sequence a little bit about Jack and Doris. We learn that Jack was a bit of a scoundrel, and that it was Doris's money that funded the studio that she's now herself running. And in this scene, we learn that she's been carrying on an affair with with one of the artists working in the studio. This is now years later. She's kind of middle-aged, and she's having an affair with Chick Talbot, who is one of the main characters of the story. He's a cartoonist who works at the studio, and he's considerably younger than she is. And we see in this scene a conversation between the two of them that takes place in a hotel room that they've gone to have one of their trysts. And the scene is kind of inspired by Mad Men, the TV series, and in fact, the character of Chick Talbot is very much like one of those Mad Men types. And so the scene was kind of modeled on their looks, both Doris and Chick, in the hotel room and everything. It's kind of modeled on that era, the early 60s. Except that in this original version, Chick looks a bit different than I'm drawing him now in the face. And so I kind of need to redraw it. But the rest of the page I really like. Well, the rest of the page I didn't get very much past the first 3 panels at the top. So maybe I can finish this now if I go back to the script and see. I'm not sure if the script still reflects what's going on in here. I think it does. Anyway, I didn't check before I came out. I just pulled this page out when I was looking for something to work on. So I'm going to trace most of it because I like mostly how it's drawn. And the banner at the top that says Doris Sloane is, the banners, some of them are modeled after the kind of lettering from a famous comic strip. So this one here has a sort of Milt kind of sort of look to it. Okay, so I'm going to leave, turn on the light so we can see what we have there. So I'm going to, forgot to get the rest of his shirt. Like he's in his white undershirt and his boxers. Smoking a cigarette, of course. Everybody in Mad Men are smoking cigarettes. So the time period in this story is never really stated. It's kind of vaguely late Cold War, but sometimes it looks like it might be from the 60s, sometimes from the 70s, sometimes from the 80s. It sort of just floats around. It's never really stated when it is or where it is. The city is based loosely on Pittsburgh, but it could be any Midwestern-looking city, really. Midwestern, mid-sized city. All right, and I'm not sure what I put in for the dialogue balloons here. I'm gonna have to redo his face. And I think I can still do these panels, at least this one here. I like how that one's drawn. Put the light over this way. Still no sign of the cat, so I don't know. I don't really want to stay up too late, because I tend to not sleep enough as it is. Let me see. Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna put up here Doris Sloane. I don't know what the page number of this is gonna be yet. Yellow Man is the name of the working title of the graphic novel. I'm not sure what page number it's going to be yet, or where it appears in where it will eventually appear in the story. Let's see. And Doris Sloane here, you probably can tell this, the Mad Men references. She's kind of modeled after Joan from Mad Men. And I think Roger was the one that she was having an affair with at first in the series. So the scene is kind of based on their little hotel dalliances. Although in that, the age difference was the other way around, of course. I'm not a big fan of drawing backgrounds. If I can get away with drawing one good one on a page as sort of like an establishing shot, then I'm usually happy with that. Okay, I guess I'm gonna need to check the dialogue now.